Hey everyone, welcome to Happy Gaijin. I hope everyone's having a great Wednesday, Thursday. I'm not very sure what day it is wherever you might be watching, but we are live. Hopefully we are live now, and some people will start coming into the chat. I'm pretty sure. What do you think of my studio, everyone? Pretty cool, huh? So yeah, Wednesdays are my chill stream day, and also, exactly 3 weeks till I set out on my awesome Japan adventure. I'm very, very excited to say that I have only 3 weeks to go. And for those of you who are new to the channel, I'm Nathan. I'm also known as a Ninja Monkey, and I have the second channel, which is Happy Gaijin, where we get to hang out in a more casual setting. Less questions, more discussion, more talking, more answering questions, more randomness, and obviously Coke Zero at hand always. So yeah, I thought I'd try something a little bit different and see what you guys think. Hello, Alexander. How you doing? Howdy to you. Hope you're doing well. Artorius94 is also in the house. Some of the first ones to come in and say hello. Love it. Awesome. Just join me around. How you doing, mate? Hope you're doing well. I'm still waiting for your visit here in Gibraltar, your old home, or kind of your old home. Bojo! How are you doing, Boj? Boj? I've never called you Boj. Maybe I'll start calling you Boj. No, Bojo. Bojo's better. Fancy ninja monkey signs. You like it? Not bad, huh? 162 days for you. Awesome. And just booked a flight for late November through early December. That's what I like to hear. I like to hear people already planning and wanting to get back to Japan. Makes me very happy to hear. Love the neon. It's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And sent 5 Happy Gaijin memberships. Thank you so much, Jim Ross. Always supporting the channel. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you so much. Great. Philippe is in the house. Also, Felipe, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. What you've been up to this week. In fact, everyone who's watching, let me know where you're watching from. What's your sort of mid-week routine like, other than, you know, waiting for Happy Gaijin or being here on the stream and contemplating future travels and talking about Japan and anything else. It doesn't have to necessarily be Japan. Gazumi is also in the house. We have some of the regulars here and some newbies also, which is always very awesome to see. And Alex says, I am there from end of November to early January. Wow, that's quite a good trip, actually. It's quite an extensive trip, which is cool. Very cool. So yeah, as always, I did put a sort of like a little bit of a title, which is rail versus flights. I mean, you know, it's an interesting discussion that came up in my last live stream. Japan Ichiban sort of asked, is it worth getting a flight from Tokyo to Fukuoka, or would I get a train from Tokyo to Fukuoka from Shinjuku? And that made me think a lot. It is something that I've been thinking about for a while. But I had been thinking about that recently, and I'm just wondering what everybody thinks about traveling in Japan, you know, rail versus, you know, flying. I've done both, and this upcoming trip I will be traveling both with a lot of rail. Actually, going back to my roots, there's going to be a lot of rail for the itinerary that I'm following, and there's also going to be some flying, you know, domestically in Japan, which I'm very looking forward to. And I think that the last time I did that was actually I flew from Oita Airport in Kyushu to Tokyo, and I've also flown from Tokyo to I've done quite a few flights. I've done Tokyo, Sapporo a few times. I've also flown Tokyo to Ishigaki in Okinawa domestically. I've flown from Ishigaki to Fukuoka. and then I've flown from Oita to Tokyo. So those are some of the routes that I've done. I'd love to know if anybody here has done any flying internally in Japan. What are your thoughts? Why did you choose to fly and not to take the Shinkansen? That would be pretty cool little thing to talk about. I'm saving for the big move in December, but if I can squeeze a trip in Jib, I will let you know. Yeah, dude, that would be awesome. Just remember to give me a good heads up, because I travel so much that if you just give me a little bit of a heads up, you know, I'll make sure that I free myself up and I can actually, you know, like hang out with you. That would be the point, right? Don't do who was it that came? Who was it? Somebody came and I wasn't here. They will make at least 3 Ninja Monkeys troop in country at the same time. Yeah, you'll be there too, right, Jim? Long weekend here in south of Germany, public holiday tomorrow. Wow, what's the occasion for the public holiday, I wonder? Do you think I need to book a ticket for an 8 a.m.-ish Osaka Okayama Shinkansen? And if so, can it be done online prior trip? Gazumi, if you well, 8 a.m. could potentially be a little bit of peak time. A lot of people do travel out of Tokyo and into Tokyo around that time. So I think that if you can, what I would do really, Gazumi, is I would actually get my ticket the day before, like the evening before, for the time that I need to get onto, you know, onto the Shinkansen. That's what I would do. However, there's various ways of booking online. You can book via the Smart EX system. You can book online, even Klook. I have a Klook affiliate link that you can use to get your tickets beforehand. To be honest, the 99.5% of all of my train tickets I get at the counter, and I usually do it the day before, or the evening before at least. I don't think it's going to be put it this way, I don't think Azumi is going to be a very good idea for you to be at the station trying to get yourself a ticket at that time, because it's going to be very busy at the station, and depending on where you're staying, you'd have to get to the Shinkansen station. For example, you'd have to get to Tokyo Station, and that in itself could pose an interesting dilemma in its own sort of way. Never flown internally in Japan. The question that I asked was, has anybody flown internally in Japan, and where to and why? What was the reason? Hi folks. Hey David, how you doing? Yeah, that's it. It was Clay. Clay, oh boy, Clay, what a guy. I usually fly in Sapporo and return by Shinkansen. I did that once. I flew into, well, you know, not directly to Sapporo, but I flew sort of like with a connecting flight via Tokyo, and then I got the Shinkansen back. It was a great trip. I loved that trip a few years back. In fact, this year, part of my itinerary this year is heavily influenced by things that I've done in the past that I wanted to repeat, things that I missed, things that I wanted to redo, and I will be spending some time in Hokkaido this year, exploring quite a bit of Japan, a different side of Japan that I've not seen, even though I've been to Hokkaido before. The early Shinkansens are the most booked ones. I would book in advance. Yeah, the early Shinkansens are definitely the most booked, but at the same time, remembering that there are two things that you need to remember, and that is, if you're going to get an unreserved seat, you could be there early enough to sort of get yourself a place in an unreserved seat Shinkansen. And if that's the case, you need to make sure that you start at Tokyo Station, because that's where the Shinkansen basically starts most of the time, right? So you start at if you start at Tokyo Station with an unreserved seat, don't forget that there are, I don't know, one Shinkansen every 4 or 5 minutes, or every 6 minutes, or whatever it is. So you miss one, there'll be another one, there'll be another one, there'll be another one. Just bear that in mind. No matter how much I flap my arms, I can't get lift to fly. Hey Jesse, how you doing? Not the leaderboard again. I know. It's a little bit of fun. Don't take it too seriously. The leaderboard there is for a little bit of fun. Some people like it, some people don't. Just, if you don't like it, just ignore it. I don't take anything too seriously. It is just fun. Hey Cliff, how are you doing, Cliff? Leaderboard, Alex is happy because, you know, they're number one on the leaderboard. Here we go again. I liked buying the Shinkansen tickets online. Like I said, most of the time I don't I don't purchase anything online. Most of the time I know where I'm, you know, the way that I travel, I pretty much know what my itinerary is going to be, and I pretty much know what trains I want to catch and at what time I want to catch them. So it's very easy for me to just go to a station and say I need a ticket to this location on this day at this time, this day at this time for this location, this day at this time, this location. Maybe I'll do 3 or 4 tickets at a time, you know. I think flying is good. It depends on how quick you want to be at your destination. I found it really convenient as I wanted to spend more time in Osaka. Yeah, I think there's a good, you know, use case scenario for flying. I definitely, even when I did calculate from Fukuoka back to Tokyo, I calculated it was gonna be over 5 hours, and I know that in theory, in theory, that the travel time looks more like 4 hours, but you got to be realistic, you know. And realistically, the travel time is more than that. You have to change trains, and you know some of those train times give you a very short window to change trains, which I try not to get the very short windows to change trains if I can. You know, some of them are like 4 minutes or something crazy like that. I haven't been on the Shinkansen since the rail pass increase. Maybe arrival night ticket purchases for next morning train. Yeah, that's what I would do really. If you know that you want a train, you know, if you already know that on the, let's say the 14th of July, just to say a date, you want a train at 8 a.m., then just get the ticket a few days before, you know. So starting in Shin Osaka, cool. I finally found the setting to opt out the leaderboard. Bojo has opted out. No problem, dude. No, won't take anything personal. It's always fun. Those of you who want to be part of it can be part of it. Those of you who don't want to be part of it don't have to be part of it. I myself, I'm not 100% sure how the leaderboard works. But at the moment, we have number 1, according to this, Alexander. Second place is Jim Ross. And Just Roaming is third place here. Interesting. Still don't understand it. Will I ever understand it? I don't know. Will we ever understand the leaderboard? It sucks that 90% of the time the JR Pass is not worth it anymore. Yeah, that is true. I think that especially for people who have traveled more, like myself, people who have traveled extensively in the past will find the JR Pass difficult to use. Even on this trip, and I am doing a heck of a lot of traveling, guys. I ain't staying still for much of my trip in the next, in 3 weeks' time when I get to Japan. I spent, I think, 4 or 5 days in Tokyo, and then it's a solid maybe 3 weeks of travel across all sorts of different areas of Japan, which I'm very much looking forward to. But even within my own traveling, I couldn't get the JR Pass to work, because the way that the JR Pass is set up is I'm traveling to many locations across 3 weeks, but I'm spending 2 nights or 3 nights in some of these locations, which basically means that it just doesn't work, because it just doesn't work. I feel that the JR Pass would work much, would be better if they said you have a month to use it, and you can use it 3 times for a certain price, 6 times for another certain price, and 10 times for another certain price. That will get people a little bit more flexible and spending a little bit more time in less visited locations. But at the moment, you know, the time the problem is not necessarily the price. The problem is a time constraint that's connected to the price. Because if you could make it work for the price, then it ain't a bad price. It's just nearly impossible to make it work. No trophy for Bojo. Unless you want the green car. After 4 hours, it's good time to get off and get something to eat. Yeah, I mean, and there's lots of different ways to do the Shinkansen. The Shinkansen also has its advantages. For example, I'm going to be traveling to Takayama. One of my first stops is actually my first stop will be Takayama. It's not the most, you know, it isn't the fastest route from Tokyo directly to Takayama. I probably wouldn't have done it in the past, but I didn't want to spend a night somewhere other than Takayama that I'd already spent time in the past. So my travel this time round will be traveling very early in the morning to Takayama, stopping, I think it's in Toyama on the way. And I'll probably get off at Toyama and do a little bit of exploring, maybe have breakfast there, have a little bit of, I've been to Toyama before, but it doesn't matter, have a little bit of breakfast, walk around a little bit, and then get a local train to Takayama maybe 2 or 3 hours later. So I can sort of split up my trip so that it's not, doesn't feel like a super long trip, if that makes any sense. And I'll be using luggage forwarding. Especially since they come so often, it's easy to hop off a Shinkansen and explore. Yeah, that's exactly what I just said. That is really cool. That's one of the advantages of the Shinkansen, that you can do that. Yeah, I feel Japan needs to find better ways to recoup money instead of hammering down on visitors. Absolutely. Nathan, you rarely rest and relax when you're in Japan. You have to return home to relax and get sick. Yes, that's what happens. I think I use up all my health when I'm in Japan, and then when I get home I collapse. But this trip, I think it's, although it's a lot of travel, I think it's a lot of smart travel, if that makes any sense. For example, I'm going to be spending I think it's 3 nights or 4 nights in Takayama on purpose, you know, so that I don't have to like rush things. I have 3 different itineraries that I want to do in 4 days when I'm in Takayama, and I can, you know, switch them around as I see fit. And most of the itinerary I can do in half a day, and I can spend the rest of the day just chilling or doing something extra, something that I explore or find. So that's what I'm doing. The second thing that I'm also doing a little bit differently is I'm using places more like bases. So I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time in Okayama, spending about 3 or 4 nights in Okayama, I believe, and I'll be doing day trips from there to Kurashiki, to Onamichi, that kind of thing. And that will also mean less, you know, lugging around, getting to different hotels. And so I'm just trying to be a little bit smart. I think the JR Pass works very well the way that, for example, Japan Ichiban has been using it with his family, where you base yourself in one location like Sendai, and you then, you know, travel daily, you know, 2 hours on the Shinkansen. But I also think that it also has its disadvantages. I think that there's something very special about spending a night in a location and seeing the other side of the town or the city. I think even myself, I've stayed in some really quiet towns. I stayed in a town called Suwano, one of my ultimate top favorite places I've been to, Suwano. And I stayed overnight in a tiny little like ryokan sort of onsen sort of place, and there was no one at night. A lot of things were closed. There was like 2 restaurants open, but it was just what I needed. It gave me a whole different feel for the place, you know. So I'd have to see a JR Pass that's cheaper. Everyone would like that, but excludes travel between Golden Route cities. That would be pretty good, pretty cool. Reward the people who are avoiding the over tourism. I think in a way those rail passes do exist. They're called regional passes. Jesse, you can get regional passes that start, for example, in Tokyo or start in Osaka, Kyoto. You can't travel between Tokyo and Osaka, basically, but you can travel around other regions. So the only pass I use is a JR East Pass with 5-day trips from Tokyo, like Nikko, Nagano, and Sendai. Yeah, that's what I say. I think that using a day trip sort of pass is something that works quite well, I would say. Takayama is a stop with a commuter and you can use an IC card, right? Takayama is the stop with a commuter. I'm not very sure what you're referring to there, sorry, Cliff. I'm getting a Shinkansen, I think, to Toyama or to Nagoya. I have 2 different options, and then from there I will be getting a train, a local train, or an express train perhaps to Takayama. Takayama is quite far away. It's very far away. I got sick day 2 last trip. Oh no, man. The JR Pass might become more useful again if the individual ticket prices also go up significantly in price. That is true. Hoping it doesn't happen. This is very true, Bojo Pigeon. There's been some talk about the, tickets in general going up. And if that's the case, then we might actually find that something is, that it might be cheaper to use a JR Pass. However, the question is, will the JR Pass go up again? Because by this point, I think it's coming up to 2 years since it increased. And they did say that they will be increasing it more frequently. I believe that's what they said. Am I going to hit up some onsen in Takayama? I'll be staying in an onsen in Takayama, which looks pretty nice, but in the city. And my idea for Takayama, in fact, I'm just going to share with you. If you guys are interested in helping me out, let me find it. Okay, over here, there's a QR code that I've just shared with you just up here. And that QR code will take you to a Google form where you can give me your suggestions for things that you think I should check out, places I should go, things I should eat, locations that are tried and tested by you guys for my upcoming itinerary. All the locations that I'll be staying at will be listed. One of them will be Takayama. It's very easy to fill in the form, and I'll be reviewing them in the next week or so that I can add some of these locations to my to my days when I'm there. So please check it out, and if you don't have anything to add, then don't worry, don't add anything. Some of you have given me some great suggestions for activities that I can do. However, I don't want to explore, so I want to explore, but I want you to give me your tried and tested locations. I don't want you to tell me, why don't you do some kind of random generator where you go and you find something random. I'll do that anyway, that's the way that I travel. I want you guys to give me tried and tested things that you think that I should check out. So I'll leave that there. You can always rewind and scan it. That deleted comment was only partial. It deleted a lot of it. Okay. Toyohashi Station. Okay. Gerald, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Kazumi, nothing worse than being sick on vacation or when working away from home. I got sick last year in Fukui and Toyama, and it was 3 days. I had a tummy bug, and it really did limit how I travel those 2 locations. I did better in Fukui. I didn't do very well in Toyama. In Fukui, I was actually able to visit the dinosaur museum and visit like a monastery that there was. But unfortunately, it sucks, especially when you have a stomach bug and you need to be near a toilet. Too much information, but Good evening, JJI. How are we all? We're discussing JR passes, my favorite topic. Yeah, one of the things that we're talking about is JR passes, Japan Rail passes. We're also discussing, and I'll bring this question up, and that is, have you ever traveled domestically, flown domestically? And if you have, then why did you choose that? And where? Tokyo Wide is really good. Regional pass and Osaka's if you fly into Osaka. Yeah, indeed. Already filled in a few. Yeah, thank you guys. I noticed a few. I haven't read through all of them yet, but I have noticed a few. The morning market was very cool. I remember that. Actually, I have to add that to my list because I did do the morning market. But one of the things that Jesse has said, I am 100%, and part of the reason why I'm going back is because the best ever beef that I've ever had across Japan. And when you go to Japan, you know, everyone says that their steak and their beef is the best. But I can tell you right now that in Takayama, having that Hida beef, it's the best beef I've ever had, and I'm looking forward to that. Only things accessible with public transport. Not necessarily. Just drop whatever you can. If I need to rent a car, I will. I'm already planning on renting a car in Wakanai, and I'm already potentially renting a car around where? Somewhere else. Wakayama, I think. Yeah, XP stuff is back on. We still don't understand it. We don't take it too seriously. But just saying that Alex is first, Jesse is second, and Knight is third. Not that it means anything. Did you eat raw chicken? I did. Well, when I got sick, I didn't eat raw chicken, but I've eaten raw chicken in the past, and I won't do that again. Not because I got sick or anything, but just because I'm just paranoid. Great point by Bojo on the disparity between the JR Pass and current prices. I still get JR Passes almost every time. Yeah, the way I mentioned already, Japan Ichiban, the way that you travel with a JR Pass can work very well as having one location and doing day trips. But what you'll find is the more you travel Japan, the less locations that you'll be able to base yourself from to use the JR Pass efficiently, if that makes any sense. So as somebody who is awesomely exploring Japan and, you know, going to different locations around Japan and Tohoku, basing yourself and doing Tohoku and basing yourself in I don't know, like Osaka, and traveling around, the more of those places that you do, eventually get to a point that'll be a little bit harder to do that. You know, you flew domestic from Tokyo to Hokkaido because it was right when the Shinkansen decoupled and caused problems. Okay. I loved our domestic flights, and we did Anna, and it was really easy. Nice, Chuck. Speaking of Toyama, for me, preferred over Kanazawa. Both great, really. Well, like I said, Toyama for me, I didn't really get to see much because I was mostly stuck to my toilet. Did you fly with Jetstar, Nathan? They were really good for low-cost airline. I flew with Peach, or Peachy, as they call it in Japan. Peachy. Wakayama. I'm going to Wakayama and I'm going to Wakanai. Both places. Wakayama and Wakanai. Want to go back to Japan? Hey, Michael. Want to go back to Japan for the third year in a row next year, but flights are posting much higher than compared to previous years. Actually, do I have my phone anywhere near me? I don't. But I was going to mention something interesting, and that is that I had been tracking a flight. My summer flight is now over double the price of what it was when I bought it in, I think I bought it in January. So I purchased my summer flight in January, I think it was, or maybe the end of January, so around that time. And right now, at this point, it's double, more than double of what it was. So 3 weeks time, the flight I'll fly off, and it's more than double what it costs. So what I want to do, maybe you guys can actually help me with this, because this would be a very cool experiment for all of us to do. If you've got an Expedia account on the app and you set yourself, maybe you can help me out with 2 different times, like for example, one point of the year, one another point of the year, and set yourself a tracker for flight prices for example, in 6 months' time, and then in a year's time, for your city to Tokyo, and keep track of it, and let's see if we can come up, or if we can find some kind of a pattern with flights, you know, when is it more expensive, when is it cheaper, that kind of thing. Anyway, horse meat, always, dude. You know me and horse meat. Horse meat follows me. I don't follow horse meat. Horse meat will follow me. I think that at the harder point now, I think I'm at that harder point now. Next trip is Kyushu, and I don't think I can make the pass work. What about the Kyushu pass? Surely you can make the Kyushu pass work, or for part of your trip anyway. I used the Kyushu pass. It worked really well for me. Did 11 days in Shirahama, Wakayama last year. Loved it. Nice. Kazumi. Wakayama is an area I've been to, but I haven't explored extensively, but I will be exploring quite a bit of this year. That's the area where I'm a little bit like torn, because I can get around it with a lot of public transport. I've got everything locked down, the times of the trains, the times of everything, public transport. But obviously, is it worth getting a bus? Is it worth renting a car just for the sake of renting a car? This is the question that I have right now. I haven't done much distance travel last few trips. I've been staying in Tokyo and making day trips. I'm visiting more of the tourist track locations within Tokyo. Nice! Like local shopping districts. I love doing that. Okayama Shikoku October trip. 11 nights across 6 hotels. Average 6,500 yen per night. That's very cool. Actually, let's see, let's see. So I am spending, I think it's 43 days in total. In total, 43 or 44 days in total in Japan. And I'll tell you how many hotels I'll be staying in. It's pretty cool. 19 bookings. I have 19 bookings in 43 days. Something like that. That's pretty cool, huh? Do you have a Kyushu itinerary, Nathan? That would be a good video. If you don't, yeah, I don't have one. And I agree. That would be a very good video. And I think that is a video that I should work on. Not only because I like to help people like yourself, but I think that Kyushu is a great location to visit. And I'd probably do it in a similar way that I did the Tohoku one. Except for Kyushu is a little bit more tricky, I'd say, than Tohoku. It's one of these places where you might not be able to see everything in one trip. I don't know. You can get last minute flights, but those are more about luck. Yeah, I mean, forget about the luck ones. I'm talking about like scientific tracking of flights, where we can clearly see whether or not there's a pattern or there isn't a pattern with flights. In fact, let me get my phone so I can show you what I mean. Just give me a second. All right, so I have been tracking a flight. I've been tracking a few of them, a few actually. Flights I am tracking. And I'm just going to show you now quickly how crazy. Don't know if you can, where am I pointing? Can you see the price jump? So crazy. That flight is more than double what I paid for it. I wonder how long are the flights I wonder how long are the flights are going to be to the Middle East stuff. First flights via Russia are banned, which adds 2 to 3 hours. Wonder how long it will take now. My understanding is that nothing has changed. As far as I'm aware, there's no changes when it comes to flying via the Middle East, because they take a path which is a little bit like over, not quite that way. Some airlines, hey, go wander down under. How are you doing? Some airlines now have the audacity to charge higher fares for solo travelers. So far, I haven't noticed it with any airlines I normally fly with, but definitely something to watch out for. I'm not very sure if that's a proper real thing, to be honest. I mean, I know that that there was one airline in the USA that mentioned that. I'm not very sure, to be honest. Shirahama Wakayama. Gazumi, I mean, add anything to my list here, my Google Form list. I will be visiting Cheney, Japan. If you know, she's a YouTuber. She's done really well. She's just done really well this year. And I'll be actually hopefully, well, I know I'm meeting up with her for a day, but probably maybe even 2 days. So it'll be fun. And she lives in the area, and hopefully we'll get to explore some awesome places. But add anything to the form. I've had some very good, inexpensive last minute flights, but I had travel date flexibility on my side. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I mentioned, like when it comes to last minute flights, it can go both ways actually. Last minute, if you have flexibility and you have that on your side, then it's a different type of last minute. But if you are all of a sudden, you know, like you're laid off and or you get a new job and you're starting in 3 weeks time, and all of a sudden you have a 3 week window where you can go to Japan and you have to book now for tomorrow, you might not have that same luck, you know. So we're always here to help with planning. If you fly from Europe, then some Chinese carriers can still fly over Europe. They save about over Russia, right? Save about 3 hours flight time for me. I do Manchester to Beijing or Shanghai, then a short flight to Tokyo or Osaka. Speaking of prices going up, Tokyo hotels are looking a lot more expensive now than for the last couple of years. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen an increase of at least 20% in the last 20 to 30% increase, I would say, in prices compared to last summer. But again, I think that overall, probably hotels overall are about 20% more expensive compared to last year's trip. But I'm quite smart. I book well in advance, and by well in advance is I book 5 months before my trip, 5 or 6 months before my trip. If you try to book too in advance, a lot of the hotels won't be available for you to do any bookings, so it's not worth doing it too in advance. You might end up with a more expensive rate. We've got over 20 people watching. Don't forget to like and let me know where you're watching from and if you have any questions. I've been tracking since you've been tracking. Where's AKL? Auckland 2? Where's that? Okay. I don't even know where that is. Since January and hasn't changed too much. China Airlines is still 1,479 and 1,395. Nice. For when? For when is your flight though? If you book a flight on a Tuesday, Wednesday, it's cheaper. Monday and Friday are crazy expensive. Well, apparently, if you book on a Sunday night, it's the cheapest of all. It all depends on the article that you read and who says it. This is the fact, really. If we do Wednesday to Sunday, the week after, it's relatively inexpensive. I seem to be about a month out before I can book for hotels in December. Yeah, you'll probably want to start booking sometime next month for December, or maybe even the month after. Okinawa. Oh my goodness, Okinawa. Do they fly directly from, do they fly directly to Okinawa? Love it. Had a funny conversation with my work colleague who I get along very well with, and I found out that her dad is from New Zealand, so she's a half Hafu New Zealand, Hafu Gibraltar. And she has a New Zealand passport and everything. I was like, what? Seriously? Okay, so it's still a little bit early on. You've obviously you started tracking basically a year in advance, which is great. Great to get that info, right? Nihonbashi a month ago, 9,100 yen. Still 6,900 in Sugamo. Mr. Gazumi Sugamo. Flight in November direct from Frankfurt to Tokyo, 950 euros with JAL. Searching for March now, nothing cheaper than 1,400 direct for now. Yeah, well, March is going to be peak, especially mid-March to the end of March is going to be peak. That's for sure. And it's just going to get more expensive, I think. Probably. Any more questions, guys? If you're me and you book a flight with Jetstar, they will have a half price sale 2 days later. Damn it. Well, you know, I've said it a million times, and I think that when it comes to flights, you need to give yourself your own parameters, like what's your upper limit, when are you happy to book, because it's a little bit like gambling. Like you need to, you know, there's gonna be a point where you're either gonna lose or win, and you gotta be okay with it. You know, like how much would you put on red or on black, basically? Those extremely cheap hotel rates that you could get right after Japan reopened for tourists was epic. But I'm going to tell you something, Bojo, that was even more epic. And that was the hotel rates that you could book when Japan was still closed. I went to Japan in August, just before the borders reopened. And wow, I stayed in some nice hotels for like a third of the price. It was crazy. Alexander says, maybe I'll try out Sugamo in the end of December. There's an APA with onsen, I think, right? I'm not very sure about the APA, but you know what? I think Sugamo is an interesting, very quiet but interesting location. And if you haven't watched Alexander, if you haven't watched my less visited Tokyo locations video, you should check that one out. I don't know what you're saying, but Gerald, I'll accept it. Not direct, I'm trying to get China Airlines with a layover in Taiwan. That's the cheapest, $500 cheaper than Korea Air, which is my second choice. Okay. All right. I thought to myself, like a direct flight, that would be pretty darn epic, really. Guys, I am on fire. I have filmed 3 videos in the last few days. 3 videos. One of them includes an update that hopefully will be ready for tomorrow. And the other 2 are other like topical things that I'll be talking about. But yeah, I'm trying to get my backlog of content ready for my trip in 3 weeks time. So my plan is to obviously have a video out every week from now till the trip, but I'd like to have at least a backlog of 2 videos that I can have to post every other week while I'm in Japan. And don't forget that I will be streaming, alternating probably between this channel, Happy Gaijin, and Ninja Monkey, whilst I'm in Japan. So I won't be off the grid completely. I'm going to try and keep you in the loop as to where I am and when I'm going to be streaming, and what, maybe not what exactly I'm going to be seeing, but at least keep you in the loop. Okay. Okinawa International. Nice. Do not book a flight, direct flight with Lufthansa. Bad food. Okay. It has a semi Rotemburo. Yeah, the one in Ueno also. I'll be staying there. Yes, I was going to suggest watch Nathan's less traveled video. In fact, I have a let's see if I can find it. I actually have a playlist that I put together, and I have another video in the making that I'm hoping to have ready for before my flight. It's crazy how, like, just before going to Japan is when I get all the ideas, things that I want to film, but I just don't have enough time. Right, let's see. So I'm gonna share this with you guys, and that is basically, that's a playlist of the 3 videos that I've done so far of the less visited places in Japan. And yes, Jesse, the JCast premiere will be tomorrow. It was supposed to be yesterday. But it's okay. It's all good. Life got in the way, right? Japan, and life is more important than anything. And then tonight it just would have been a little bit weird with the live stream, you know. So did someone say the JCast? Where's the hey JCast? How are you doing, mate? Don't forget to click on the JCast and follow us there. Set yourself a reminder for the JCast. It's a premiere. I think tourists are starting to catch on to Sugamo, but you still see way more locals there. Yeah, probably. I mean, Japan is overrun. Well, not Japan. Japan isn't overrun. Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto are overrun by tourists. Some locations, anyway. I thought we had to say your name 3 times to summon you. JCast. Yanaka Ginza, so many tourists are there now. Indeed. Maybe it's because of my video. I doubt it. JCast was a little bit confused when it came to the time of when to go. Hey Erika, how are you doing? How important are reservations for the Shinkansen when traveling to Morioka and Sendai with 3 people in a group? Very important, because my understanding, Erika, is that Shinkansen that goes to Morioka, I believe, only reservation only. So therefore, it's that's why it's probably very important. I mean, you could probably reserve on the day, and that route isn't as popular as, for example, going south to Osaka or Kyoto, so it's not going to be like super packed. But from my experience, even when I've traveled in the past, it can get a little bit packed. And my biggest recommendation is at least book a day or 2 days in advance. If you know that you have the day that you want to travel and you know the time that you want to travel, you might as well get yourself the tickets. Maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about having Shinkansen has to be reserved only. There we go. The JCast has just said Nathan is correct. The E5 and the E6 Tohoku Shinkansen are reserved only. Plenty of space in the green car. If you're going to go in the green car, that's different, obviously. But anyway, you have to reserve. So just be aware of that you need to reserve. In the mirror. Hey, thank you so much. On Discord, you could see when I started looking, because it was the same time I started looking at the ferry. Oh yeah. Our friend here, Cliff, is a very interesting dude here. He's really interested in train travel and unique. Basically, he's interested in unique mode of travel. It doesn't have to be train. And one of the things he's been looking at is all sorts of weird and wonderful train ferries travels. Some of them even taking 24 hours, I believe, like to get from one point of Japan to another. And one of the ones that he was looking at was actually, I believe it was it the Fukuoka to Beppu to Oita, something like that. Because I want to do that one because I actually met tourists, some travelers that had just done that, and they told me it was incredible. They showed me their videos and photos, and now I feel like I need to do a ferry at some point. But thank you so much for the super chat. Will the confetti work? Arigatou gozaimasu. I know I'm not supposed to do the hand thing. If Tawada was here, he would say that's not Japanese. But hey, it makes it feel a little bit more like thankful. If I had a long trip to Japan, I'd consider a ferry ride just for fun. Usually time is money over there, so it's just not a valid option. Yeah, I guess so. It depends on also, you know, if it fits into your itinerary, if it fits into your routes. I mean, to be honest, I'm gonna be totally honest. I didn't even consider it. Had I done a little bit more research, I probably would have actually got the ferry from Oita to Osaka, the overnight ferry, and then maybe got the train or something like that. I looked at flights to Osaka, Okinawa, and was surprised how cheap tickets were. Tickets can be very cheap domestically. This is the thing. £30. I can't remember what I paid. I think I paid £60 return in total. It's me, Lee. Hey, hi Nathan. Not sure if this has been asked before, but are you considering streaming on Twitch too? I am not considering twitching. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Somebody's asked me in the past. To be honest, I don't think that the style of streaming that I do would work in Twitch. I feel that Twitch works very well for very, very, very long streams, you know, 3 hours plus streams. And when I'm streaming in Japan, I don't stream more than 2 hours, 1.5 hours, maybe something like that. But yeah, the ferry overnight saves on a hotel room. That is true as well. So you could be more cost effective than they seem. And I think that they're a destination in their own sort of right, to be honest. Some of those ferries look very cool and with very interesting features. So I think it will be a very unique experience that I'm hoping to do in the future. So question rank. I'm going to Kyoto in the beginning of February. How much less do you think the crowds will be? Thanks. The crowds, I mean, to be honest, if you're going to go to the same popular locations, Fushimi Inari, Asakusa, etc., 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 it's debatable how much of a difference you're going to actually feel, because those places are very, very popular. But maybe 30% less, maybe 20% less, I'd say. It's a difficult one to answer. It's when you sort of spread out a little bit, you really feel that there's a lot less people. And I think that February is a great time to visit Japan. Stream on both, Alex. I can just about stream on YouTube. I ain't the best streamer. I don't know, I think it would drive me insane trying to multi-stream. I still want to take a river cruise in Tokyo someday, but I have not yet managed to schedule it whilst there. And Bojo is quite easy to take you don't have to do a river cruise. You can do river buses, I believe, like from Asakusa. You can get one from Asakusa to Odaiba, or to Hamaruku Gardens, where Tsukiji is. Cliff Dog says Osaka to Kagoshima and Tokyo. Really? Yokohama to Kitakyushu are the long ones. Those sound very long. You will be going at Chinese New Year, Rank. so could have an influx of Chinese travelers like it did this year. Oh, it's true. That is very true. Unless there's some kind of other like prediction by a manga artist that says it's going to be some kind of a disaster, then, you know, apparently flights are down in July by 27% from Asian countries due to that prediction. 27%. I was hoping you could avoid accommodation altogether using them, but their times don't really work for that. Yeah, I think when it comes to accommodation, there's even different berths, right? You can get. So is that how you say it, berths? Manga artist destroys Japanese economy. And I was just reading something that I filmed an update for this week, for tomorrow, hopefully. It's semi-edited. I just need to like tweak it. But I was reading that manga artist has just published a new manga, and people are already going crazy for that one. I wasn't able to go into the details of what she predicts in the next manga that she's just published, but it sounds interesting. I think Chinese New Year is a different date this year. Oh yeah, Chinese New Year does change all the time. But that's something that you should definitely consider when traveling to Japan. That's public holidays, you know, that kind of weekends, public holidays, and that sort of thing. You should definitely consider that when you travel, you know. Mid-February to March, I think. So you might miss. Okay. Very cool. Any more topics of discussion or questions that you might want to talk about? Let me know. Like I said, I will be in Japan in 3 weeks' time. In fact, this time, in 3 weeks' time, I will be in London, and I will just be taking my flight or about to like get ready to fly to Japan. So not quite in Japan in 3 weeks' time, but I will be making my way to Japan, which for me counts, right? The journey counts. What do you think of my backdrop? Not Japan related, but have you been to Spain and do you have any recommendations there? Chuck, if I look out my window, I see Spain. I go to Spain very often, and I think that the south of Spain is very beautiful. I did a vlog in Seville, Spain. It was my last vlog on this channel. Chuck, check it out. I think southern Spain is very beautiful. Granada is quite impressive. Seville is very beautiful, and the coastline around this area is incredibly gorgeous. Do American affect how busy Japan is, or is it too far away? Americans were the third most visitors from Western countries, I believe. So there's your answer. Ninja Monkey. I'm interested in Spain too. Southern Spain. Nice. Rank. Did you watch my Seville video? Have you had any interesting or amusing sponsor offers recently, Nathan? I had a pet products place reach out to me. How does it fit in with my audience? I get random sponsorship deals all the time. I have had a few random pet things. Sometimes they just send me things that I just think won't work. So what do they want to send me? Oh, an ironing board. I had an offer for me to try to sell an ironing board. Your wife is saying you can't do Japan 4 years in a row. Chuck, I can convince your wife. Is she watching? If she's watching, I can convince her. Right. You gotta go to Japan, but go to some of the regions where tourists don't normally go. Go to Okinawa, Go to Hokkaido, go to Kyushu, and yeah. Thanks, Rank. Your wife is wrong. No, your wife isn't right yet. Wrong yet. Which way? Which way is it? Your wife has to be convinced. Life on an island. Get the ironing board paycheck. I've had those are really weird ones. I mean, that's one of the videos that I wanted to do. I just haven't had time. Basically, the crazy sponsorships that I get sometimes, including plastic surgery. Ironing boards come in handy in hotel rooms when you need more desk space. And you know what? Something else is that sponsors, and I don't want to mention sponsors just in case I work with them in the future, but I've had 2 sponsors in the last month and a half waste my time, like properly waste my time. Like, in fact, I might not even work with them if they ever wanted to work with me again, because I don't know if they're trustworthy. And I'm talking about big companies that have wasted my time. They say, we want you to do this, we want you to do that. And I say, right, but my channel doesn't really fit in with that. Is that okay? Yeah. And then when it comes to the contract, they want me to do what I said I wouldn't do. And I'm like, I said I wouldn't do that. Like I'm not going to do a dedicated video for your company. I will integrate it into a video. And I make it very clear from the beginning. And then at the end, they try to you know, get you to do what you don't want to do. What small metro stop, not including the Yamanote? Is that what you mean? Yamanote is best connected. Try to find a good spot to stay in. I think Yamanote, I mean, the Hibiya line, the Ginza line, Ueno, Ikebukuro is a great location also. If you can find a spot with multiple like lines, then have you ever had a sponsor where you did their promotion and they never paid you for it? No, I've never had that, thankfully. Like I said, I don't work with a lot of sponsors, and I want to make sure that I align with what the product is, and I want to make sure that I'm not just upselling something to viewers like yourself. I want to make sure that I'm, you know, the product is something that I would use myself or that I've had experience with, or a product that I know that you guys would probably want or be interested in. So like I've had loads of people, loads of companies contact me with like pocket translation devices, you know, and I'm just not interested in selling that. I think that your phone can do that already, and they've offered okay money, but I've just decided that unless I have a really good product that convinces me, no. Nice. So we will be streaming again on Sunday, but on my main channel, Ninja Monkey, and look out for the podcast tomorrow on the Jcast, and look forward to a video that I will probably be releasing tomorrow or the Friday. I have a lot of things on the lineup in the next few weeks before I go to Japan, and I look forward to showing you Japan when I'm in Japan. On that note, I'm going to start ending things. Bojo Pigeon says pocket translation devices would have been great 15 years ago. Yeah, I was really close to buying those eyeglasses that do live translate captioning. Those looked cool. I think that's part of the future. I think things are going in that direction. How genuine are you? How genuine you are is your selling point, Nathan. Not taking those deals is a good decision. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sell something that just for money that I'm not gonna use, or something that I don't think that you guys are going to be interested in. I do think very carefully about what, you know, how I brand myself. It's part of my brand, and I guess there's still one-way communication, but better because it's hand-free. Can't wait to see all the new Japan videos in a few weeks. Yeah, there'll be loads. Like I said, I filmed 3. I've got an update, and I've got 2 different topics where I'm just chatting about a topic. And then I've got 2 scripts or 3 scripts written that I have to record. And I also have the less visited Tokyo video that I'm halfway through editing. So there's quite a lot of work to be done in 3 weeks before I go to Japan. Yeah, click on the JCast and make sure that you set yourself for the schedule, and we'll see you in the chat there, or at least I know that Japanese Japan will be there. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say good night. I'm going to say thank you for all of those of you who have supported. Just being here is a great support, but a big thank you to Jim Ross, who sent over 5 Happy Gaijin memberships, and to Blue Sky, thank you so much for the super chat, dude. Thank you, Cliff, and I'll see you all very soon. Till the next time, stay positive and be a happy Gaijin. Bye, everyone.